Welcome back to Foodie Down Bronx. I'm your host, M, the Hungry Dominican. Our next guest is a Bronx-born food activist and inspiring health advocate, as well as the founder of Divine Appetite, offering up workshops, private food coaching, and restaurant consulting. Welcome to the show, Chef Marilyn Moore. Hello, Chef.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So we have a few things to talk about. First off, let's start off with your connection to the Bronx. How long were you in the Bronx? Because right now you're in Brooklyn.
Yes.
But how long were you living in the borough?
I lived in the Bronx until I was 30 years old.
Okay.
So most of my life, I'm 41 now. So for most of my life, I lived in the Bronx. That's who I am.
What was your neighborhood? Where were you roaming around?
When I was young, I grew up on T-Bout Avenue, 183rd,
Sure.
T-Bout the 3rd, you know. But I lived all throughout the Bronx. I lived in Throgs Neck, Pelham Bay, Pelham Parkway, Morris Park.
Okay, so let's talk about a few things here. I want to start off with Divine Appetite. Tell me a little bit about Divine Appetite.
So Divine Appetite is a dope company.
Yes.
We are dope because we offer food education to youth, to adults, and we're city vendors. So the good part is that we get to reach neighborhoods and communities that may not be able to host their own workshops and throw these big events regarding food. But when a school contracts with us or a nonprofit contracts with us, then we're able to offer a community that would not have access to food education, this opportunity, you know?
Right.
So that's what we do. We teach people how to eat well, understand ingredients, which is how you're gonna eat well, see that you're caught in a trap, food is not everywhere, so it's okay, pace yourself, and we want the next generation to not take so many medications.
Right.
You know, we want the next generation
and
to be
there's
healthy.
a direct correlation between what you put in your body and how you feel, of course, right?
Absolutely.
And even as simple as that sounds, as sort of obvious as that sounds, I don't think people realize that literally everything you eat and put in your body is going to affect you. It always has ramifications, and that's one of the messages you put out there.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
That's very cool. Now, you say that you go around the city, so you guys travel from borough to borough, or how does it really work? How do the events take place?
Usually when we partner with a school, we're partnering for the whole year.
Okay.
Maybe a semester or for the whole year. Besides those contracts, then we do workshops, like 8-week workshops or 6-week workshops, training garden leaders. We train residents and some people like Banana Kelly, which we all are very familiar with, has done great things in the Bronx.
Very cool.
They, partnering with them gives us access to residents who live in communities that have no access to food, and we help them navigate down to taking them to the supermarket and showing them in this high-priced supermarket in a low-income area, these are the things that can help you get through the week. These are the things that can help with cravings. This can help if you have a high-fat diet and you want to maintain that, you know, because we have to meet people where they are.
I think people don't realize that there are good fats and bad fats.
Yes.
Right. So if you still want a fatty meal, there's always a better option. So what's the reception you've seen with the wellness workshops that you have, and the fact that you take people out to supermarkets and they clearly want to learn, but how many of those people do you see put these practices into effect? Right.
Well, the good part is I do receive emails and feedback from people to say, you know what, I tried this. And if they tried 3 things that they did not try before or would never have tried, that is so powerful. And the key thing that everyone, I stand with this, everyone after taking a workshop with us, they leave with a different mindset. And that's where it begins. I cannot map out your neighborhood, get people to sell good food in your neighborhood, but I can help you realize that you deserve good food. I can help you realize that you are living in an environment that is unhealthy, and now that you know, you can make better choices. Because sometimes people do not even understand how food is related to their mental health, to triggers in their mood, you know, or triggering ailments that are already in their body.
The simple act of deciding what to eat and then getting to a point where you're living, wherever you are, and you're thinking to yourself, I have no good options. Even that right there is a bad first step, right? Because that just trickles down to, well, I don't have access to a smoothie shop, or let's say a salad place. I'll just order from the neighborhood, burger spot or something. And that right there trickles down, right? Like, I feel like that's how it kind of starts. Because you're mentioning how people don't even know what they have access to in their own neighborhoods. And I think that we just fall into this loop of like ordering the same thing or eating the same thing or just maybe even psychologically thinking that's all we deserve. It's what's around us, right?
That's exactly what we think. It's normal. It is, and how could it not be normal if you go to school and you're being fed unhealthy? You go to your jobs, the lounge is unhealthy, you know, unless they have like the foodie people and they're like, we're changing our life. Other than that, for the most part, when you go to a political event and they're talking about health, they're not really talking about healthy food. They're talking about make sure you take your medication, make sure you have insurance, and all those things are important. But even if they say, okay, look, we're giving out these vouchers for the farmer's market. Okay, so what do I do with this raw food at the farmer's market? Are you equipping every farmer's market in New York City with cooking demos? Because you can definitely hire community chefs who are New York City vendors, tons of us out here who would love the employment and to support their own community and to do what they love. It's nothing like a community chef doing a demo outside. I mean,
you don't want somebody with like no energy. And
and they're like, this is part of the job. But when you have a community chef and that's what they wake up to do, and they're out there like, look at these ingredients, really simple. They're filled with life, and that's what you want to maintain.
I love chefs. I've said it 1,000 times. I think what they do is admirable beyond belief. Right? You're giving people sustenance. You're giving people energy, food. And if if you're someone who eats right, then that person's giving you everything you need to make your body feel great and make you feel great. So where did you find the passion for cooking?
I found that when I moved to Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania in my early 20s.
Yeah, that's a leap.
That's a leap. That was a big leap for me also. Right. So I go out there, I was practicing as a paralegal in New York City, and I started applying for paralegal jobs, and they were paying half of what I made in New York. And I was young, and I was like, nah, I'm trying to stay fly. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to go broke and do the same work. So I started asking around, meeting people, and they're like, oh, this is the Poconos. You got to become a waitress. Became a waitress, then became a catering waitress, then start working with the catering team, and was in love. When you go from waitressing and then you do a wedding and you like it, that's your calling. Right. Because no one likes that. I'm sorry to all those professionals out there. It is intense work to leave the comfort of the restaurant to being part of that catering team. Changed my life. It showed me that this high energy that I have is for a good reason. Right. And it helped me see food a little different, because out there food was a lot more natural. They was coming from farms like Lehigh Valley. I was so moved by fresh raw food, and I was working at a space called Everybody's Cafe. Weird. I just love them because everything they made from scratch, and it was like a mixture. The husband was Korean and the wife was German. Whoa! Can you imagine?
So different.
So that's where I got watching them. They were small business owners. Their 2 kids. They bought this house. Like, there was such a great story. So I just started to indulge, and then I ended up getting hired at this at a hotel at the Clarion, doing accounting for the kitchen, and worked my way in.
Beautiful.
Worked my way in the kitchen and worked my way up, and I learned first from a Middle Eastern chef who taught me all about spices, which became who I am. I am the urban spice lady, and it literally taught me I could heal my body. And I learned that in the kitchen. You don't really learn about healing in a lot of restaurants. You don't learn about healing people with food. You do learn how to bring people together. But
that's awesome. I always love the origins of like a chef. Let's talk a little bit about the subject of food apartheid. Your thoughts on it, and what exactly it is for people who don't understand.
So we can go back to, what does apartheid mean? Apartheid means you are not given resources because of your race. Someone is saying to basic human rights like food, water, shelter are not being supplied to you because of your race. So we are dealing with a food apartheid because the only communities that are suffering, not just because they're poor communities, okay? We have a lot of multi-income communities in New York City, but we still have a lot of segregation in neighborhoods in New York City. Even though we're so diverse, and to the outside world, we look like, oh, the melting pot. Nah, boo. You go to a neighborhood, you will see one race for about 16 blocks. Like, let's not front, right? But you also will see the food. So being civically engaged and knowing like community boards have a say, a lot of different people have a say. Why are they not saying anything about the excessive liquor stores, the excessive supermarkets that are way overpriced for the demographics in the neighborhood? So that means anything that is fresh is gonna go bad. we're wasting food because the supermarkets, after having multiple conversations with many supermarket owners, they're like, well, we buy this, we'll buy kombucha, we'll buy this. And I say, but what are you charging people for it? Because you think it's a new wave, but remember, the people you are serving are not part of the new wave. They don't even know there's a wave. The only wave they know is more meds that combat the other med.
And if you try to bring something new into the mix and your price point isn't applicable to the people around.
Because we have to look at both sides. But now this is still a business owner. What are they going to do when all that goes bad? What is the environment saying when it goes bad? You know, so there are so many layers because of the lack of education. So the main place we get education from kind of seems like schools, right? Last time I checked, that's where we're leaving from. The kids are leaving from most of the day. Shouldn't that be the place where they don't just learn the false history of America, but they can learn about food, not in the South Bronx, not in Brownsville, and then it pops up slightly. But when it's popping up, do the people that come out look like them? Are they Latin and Black people? When there's a huge amount of Black, Brown, Latin, chefs, social workers, teachers, all through New York City doing our thing, right? But we want to see them in our community. And so when you don't, that's when you know your community is suffering. That's when you know if you're going 6 blocks, you go 6 blocks in one direction, 6 blocks in the next direction, there's no supermarket, only bodegas, which are one of the top businesses in New York City, is a grocery store. Is it helping us? One of the top money-making businesses is killing us. Actually, and it's like as if we don't have a say. We just have to take it. We just gonna get our chopped cheese in the morning because we gonna be all right. No, we're not all right.
I always tell people, I'm like, you know, regardless of where you're from, be civically engaged. Know what's going around in your neighborhood because you do have a say. But you know, connecting it a little bit to what you're saying, it's like there, you know, people of color, minorities, you know, we do have this mentality of just sort of, I don't know, it feels like we're being pushed down so much that we sometimes don't even bother trying to sort of, you know, get engaged because we're so afraid of the reaction we might get. You know, we feel like we're voiceless, I think, in a lot of situations that we don't even try to have our voice heard.
And we're so over-policed.
And we are.
We're
there's so
scared.
There's so many barriers that are just stopping us from being more engaged in our own neighborhoods. And food, of course, is one of those subjects that we need to be engaged in. Tell me a little bit about what's coming up next for you.
I'm having a food justice roundtable, the first one that Divine Appetite is sponsoring. We are partnering with Team Healthy Heart, another person that should be out here doing great things in the Bronx. So we're coming together, 2 Bronx folks, and we are just opening a conversation. That's what's happening on Saturday in Brooklyn. Open conversation. There will be food. People can potluck, bring food, no matter what you eat. We're going to sit down and just talk. I want to hear raw views of what you are seeing in your neighborhood. Do you notice food? Do you go work in another neighborhood and feel kind of like, yo, am I like a loser? Like, why doesn't my neighborhood have this stuff? What's going on? What are the emotions? Because there's a lot of emotion going on around food. So that's what this Food Justice Roundtable is, for the hear the voices that do not get heard. Which are the local people? You know? So that's what's happening. And this year I'm partnering with the Fresh Initiative, which a new initiative that Bronx Health Reach and American Heart Association has funded with Team Healthy Heart, and we're creating fresh food in bodegas in the Bronx. So it's going to be powered. Yes, my company is going to be producing the food, things like 3-bean salad that has black beans to represent Dominican culture, pink beans to represent the Puerto Ricans, and black-eyed peas to the Black Americans, which is, I'm a mix of both. So you're going to go in the supermarket, taste something that's healthy and raw, and it's like you.
That's awesome.
And it's your neighborhood where you pay tax. Oh, shoot. They like us here in my own place.
Everyone just like steps back, looks to the left. It's really happening in my...
It's about us. I'm producing my first oil that I've been working on all last year, a process of smell, of what it brings to your body. It's called Divinity. It's a mixture of refreshing oils, essential oils, and natural oils. And it has been tested and processed, and it works it good.
Beautiful.
And another key part of it is if you're in the garden and you're outdoors and you need to be revived and keep your mind, just offering that along with a little bit of some oil that makes sure it's a bug repellent.
Awesome.
So,
and it works. Beautiful.
Yes.
And the added addition.
Yes, and we are hoping to have these roundtables by April, starting monthly in each borough, mainly in the Bronx and Brooklyn, where we really need to make some noise. It's not 62, it's corny already. I'm done with it. I don't want to hear the hashtag. I don't want to see. I want to see things changing.
Nice.
Plain and simple, right?
I respect
and
that.
And
I
I want to.
respect
This is the real model of divine appetite. Fresh food is a daily human right, not a future goal. I'm tired of these goals, these 10-year plans.
Got it.
Every day, every human alive, like Mother Earth, does the criminals not get to breathe air because they're criminals?
Right.
No, it's just a right. You have to eat.
It's
Okay?
all right, yeah, love that. Chef, I gotta say, I love your passion. All right, guys, stay connected with Chef Marilyn at Divine Appetite on Instagram and visit her website.
Marilyn the chef.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Marilyn the Chef, and visit her website, divineappetite.com, to learn more. The Divine Appetite Food Justice Roundtable will take place this Saturday, correct?
Yes.
January 18th from 3 to 8 at Toast, which is located at 1130 Nostrand Avenue in Brooklyn. The event is free. Make sure to visit eventbrite.com and type in Food Justice Roundtable to RSVP. Well, that's all for the show, guys. Thank you again for tuning in, and thank you to our guests today for joining us. From BronxNet to the world, this is Foodie Down Bronx. I'm your host, the Hungry Dominican, always reminding you to feed your mind, feed your body, and if you see me coming along, feed me.